Arizona basketball began its journey of the 2014 season Saturday with the annual Red versus Blue game. The Wildcats are ready to get back to work on the gridiron, and ESPN Tucson's Zach Clark joins us later in the show. All this and more coming up on UATV Channel 3 Sports. Welcome to Channel 3 Sports. I'm your host, Joey Putrelo. Let's run down what sports to attend this weekend around UA athletics. Friday will be a night of soccer paction here in Tucson as the Wildcats are set to face the Cardinal of Stanford. Kickoff is scheduled for 7 p.m. Then on Sunday, Arizona soccer is on its home pitch once again to face another conference foe. California is on tap for 1 o'clock p.m. This year, the hockey fans of the community will have an even better experience watching games inside the TCC. Upgrades have been made to the old Madhouse on Main Street, and UATV Channel 3 sports reporter Justin Spears has more.
Over the past 2 years, the University of Arizona Athletics program has been creating a new and improved look for the athletic facilities. The Tucson Convention Center, formerly known as the TCC, has hosted numerous concerts and events for over 4 decades and is the home of the Arizona Wildcats ice hockey team, and will have a facelift and will be prime and ready by the time the Arizona hockey season will begin. Rio Nuevo Multi-Purpose District is investing $7.8 million into the convention center and has been a process ever since the month of March. These renovations will include new locker rooms, new seats, brand new audio, along with the state-of-the-art video board that has Wildcat fans excited, and the Wildcats are excited for a fresh start to a new era of Arizona hockey.
Well, first of all, we're really excited to be playing in front of our home fans. You know, they don't call it being at home for nothing. You start playing on the road and bounces don't go your way, you start to get frustrated, but all that kind of goes away when you start playing at home. And we're really excited. You know, this is the first time we're going to see all the new renovations and stuff too. And a lot of these guys, I mean, half our team hasn't even played here before, so they're really excited for that. And you know, that home opening weekend, I feel like everybody will have that first game adrenaline going, so we're really excited for it. I gotta say, my favorite addition has got to be the video board. You know, that thing's gonna be awesome. They were saying it's capable of like live feed and video replay, and you know, they're talking about doing a cool intro video for it. So, man, I'm pretty excited for that.
With nearly half the roster gone from last season's team, first-year head coach Chad Berman is very eager to see the new additions add to the Wildcats' home.
We're certainly excited. I got a peek in there today. It looks great. The brand new seats, the scoreboard, new digital monitoring. So, I mean, everything looks great. You know, we're trying to get through this rough stretch of road games, like certainly all against top 10 teams. So it's been a tough schedule to start, but big weekend here, and then we can start focusing on next weekend at home.
The TCC will be hosting events such as Slow Jams 2015, Disney on Ice, and of course, all the Arizona Wildcats home games. The renovations will be completely finished by December of this year, but Arizona will be allowed to play in the arena as the final touches will be added throughout the season. The first game will be on Friday, October 24th at 7:30 p.m. Reporting from the Tucson Convention Center and for UATV Channel 3 Sports, I'm Justin Spears.
It's that time of the year, everyone. Arizona basketball has returned to Lute Olson Court. While I was on the call for Camp Radio this weekend, my producer Zach Heineck and I were able to make this special report after the Red team's 53-46 win over the Blue in the Wildcats' yearly scrimmage. Saturday, Arizona basketball tipped off the 2014 season with its annual Red versus Blue game. The doors opened at 1:30 and the event started with a University DRC wheelchair contest of hoops. In front of a sold-out crowd of 10,000, the Wildcats were introduced by head coach Sean Miller and competed in a dunk contest, which to no one's surprise was captured by freshman phenom Stanley Johnson. Throughout the game, the Red team was in control, led by Rondé Hollis-Jefferson's 13, Craig Victor's 12, and Caleb Tarzewski's 11 points respectively. And the Red pulled away with a 53-46 win over the Blue at the McHale Center.
This was only the third day we've been in McHale since we played Stanford a year ago, to put that in perspective. So it's good for all of us to be back out there and get in there more often. We're looking forward to it.
Tarzewski was also 1 rebound away from a double-double, matched up against Serbian freshman Dusan Ristic. Guarded by Zeus, Ristic put up 14 points for the Blue, second to Stanley Johnson, who tallied 17. At halftime, former Wildcats Aaron Gordon and Nick Johnson were elected to Arizona's Ring of Honor. Both were selected in this year's NBA draft. Arizona won't hit the hardwood again until Sunday, November 9th for an exhibition matchup with Cal Poly Pomona at the McHale Center. Tip-off for that game will be at 4. Well, we now bring in our C3S analysts, club sports announcer Nick Nollenberger and Zoe Wolkowitz of the Arizona Daily Wildcat. So Zoe, between both teams, 5 different Wildcats scored in double digits, but who stood out to you the most?
Honestly, I don't want to be cliche, but Stanley Johnson definitely stood out. He first started and he won the dunk contest right off the bat with a crazy between the legs jam. Then he shot 7 for 13, and as a freshman, he led Arizona, the entire team, in scoring for 17 points. And as if his offense wasn't enough, to say how great he was, he also grabbed 3 rebounds, which was a lot for his position.
I mean, it's definitely exciting to see the young guy get out there and put up some points, but it's always hard to tell when you get, in the red and blue game. Everybody's excited because they get to see the talent on the floor, but it's sometimes hard to tell. But I was really happy with Rondé Hollis-Jefferson. He's coming into his junior year. This is a big transitional year. Sometimes guys forget about that because if you're really, really good, you're ready to go to the pros, you'll go to the pros. Not a lot of guys stay till their junior year. I think this is a big year for him. He looked good. He knocked down 13 points, and it was also good to see Brandon Ashley healthy on the floor finally.
Well, Nick, they have an exhibition game coming up. Obviously, the red versus blue doesn't really have a lot of impact on the season, just kind of a fun little thing for the fans to enjoy and for the team as well. But for this next exhibition game coming up for Arizona, who do you see in that starting 5 for Sean Miller?
Well, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory at this point. Of course, you got T.J. McConnell, the senior, is going to lead him at the point guard position. You got Rondé Hollis-Jefferson. He got all that playing time last year with Brandon Ashley getting hurt, and he's ready to go as a junior. He'll be at the 2. Stanley Johnson at the 3. Put in the freshman. If you're nervous about a freshman coming in this year, Arizona fans got plenty of that last year, of course, with getting the freshman and Stanley Johnson will come there. Number 4, we'll get Brandon Ashley at the 4, and Caleb Tarczewski will be our starting center.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that starting lineup, and I feel really confident about this season's lineup because last year Arizona was arguably one of the most talented teams in the country, but the only thing that held Arizona back was the youngness of their team. And this year, even though Stanley Johnson, who's probably going to be starting, and he's a freshman, he's the only freshman, and Arizona has returning veterans, and a lot of the veteran leadership that Arizona is going to have this season is really going to help.
Well, guys, here's Caleb Tarczewski's numbers from Saturday in the red jersey. 11 total points on 2 of 8 shooting, hitting all 7 free throw attempts, 8 defensive and 1 offensive rebound for a combined 9, no assists and a turnover. But Coach Miller said after the game that Zeus will probably be Arizona's best player this season. So do you buy or sell that?
I mean, if it was anybody else saying, I might sell it, but since it's the head coach,
Sure.
I guess I'm buying it. But I mean, this guy's 7 foot. The reason why I feel like Miller is so confident, it's another year that he's been able to put on some weight. I know Arizona fans have been wanting a little bit more from him. He's 7 feet tall, but he's not overly physical. I think this third year coming into his junior year, it's another off season that he was able to put on some weight, and I think that's going to pay big dividends, and that's probably why Sean Miller's so confident with him coming into the season.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'd buy it, but I'd make sure it has a little bit of a return policy on it. And I say that only because I think we've all heard that he's been trying and working really hard during the preseason to bulk up and so he can be a lot stronger down low, on the post. But I don't think he's necessarily going to be the best player for Arizona. However, I do think that he is going to be the best version of himself that he can be.
Well, remember, Sean Miller at least wants Tarczewski to take 2 more shots, 2 more per game this season. And if you look at his numbers from his freshman season to last year, he did increase his shot total by 2 both times. So let's see if he can do it again this season. Well, Arizona football fans had a week to rest their aching hearts after the family weekend loss to the Trojans of Southern California. We'll preview Saturday's pivotal game on the road in Pullman, Washington. All this and more coming up on UATV Channel 3 Sports.
I'm Derek Williams, the former U of A Wildcat. You're watching UATV. Don't change the channel.
The knife I lead is an alphabet dog. I may have fleas, but I run a yard. I see those clones looking down on me, but unlike those clones, this dog is free. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life, dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life.
I'm Derek Williams, your former U of A Wildcat. You're watching UATV. Don't change the channel.
Don't change the channel because we're back with more UATV Channel 3 Sports. I'm Joey Putrelo. The Wildcats got a break from the gridiron on last week's bye, but now it's time for them to get back into the Pac-12 grind on the road against Washington State. Joining the program once again are analysts Nick Nollenberger and Zoe Wolkowitz. The three of us will have more to talk about this weekend's game in just a moment, but Zoe, it's halfway through the regular season now, and at this point I want to know who are your most valuable players for the Wildcats on both the offensive and defensive sides of the ball.
All right, well, I'll start us off with offense, and I'm definitely going to have to go with Anu Solomon. He's completing about 63% of his throws with 15 touchdowns for only 4 interceptions. And he's a freshman. Like, he is 19 years old, and he's out here telling guys who will probably be in the NFL next year what to do and how to do it. And I think that takes a very special kind of personality to do that without butting heads with everyone. And also, something that I think is really neat about him is he comes in, like I said, a freshman, and he plays like someone who is a third starter, like third-year starter, and he has the ability to handle tense situations, and he's won us games for that. So
yeah, you could clearly see that in the Cal game.
Yeah.
But how about defense?
Defense, I'm going to have to go with the middle linebacker, Scooby Wright. And he's been in Arizona. Yeah, thank you. He's been in Arizona's headlines many times for Defensive Player of the Pac-12 and all things. And he has actually compiled 70 tackles, and it's only halfway, like you said, through the season. And he's also statistically, he seems like someone that should be an MVP. But if you are an avid fan of Arizona and you watch all the games, you know he should be.
Nick, how about you? Offensive and defensive
those are good
MVPs.
picks. I might have chose those myself if she hadn't jumped on it, but I'm going to choose the running back as a committee. You know, I mean, coming into the year, everybody was a little, uncertain about who's going to play tailback. You got Kadeem Carey going to the NFL, and it's really been a running back by committee. They've been a little bit dinged up this season, but I mean, Nick Wilson, coming in as a freshman has done a phenomenal job. So that's going to be an offensive pick, is the running back by committee.
And what about Terrace Jones-Grigsby, who hadn't really seen any light of the field at all? He comes in, and now he's a big part of that two-headed running back system.
I remember week 1 against UNLV, you didn't know who was going to play the position, and he came in as a fifth-year senior and really played awesome. And he struggled from some injuries this season, but I mean, as a unit, it's been pretty impressive. Everybody puts up big numbers in Rich Rod's type offense as a running back, but this season you look at the depth chart, you're like, who's going to play the position? You thought maybe even a freshman, Jonathan Hayden, was going to maybe even sneak in there as maybe getting a lot of carries, but it's been Nick Wilson and Jones-Grigsby, and it's been impressive. So that's going to be my offensive pick. And then on defense, I'm going to go with the safety, Jared Tevitz, the senior. I mean, he's 5'10", 205 pounds, and he plays he plays some in the back, but a lot up at the line of scrimmage for a smaller guy. It's extremely impressive. Not recruited very high, really recruited by nobody. He was a walk-on here at U of A, and it's been awesome to see. He's got 51 tackles already on the season, just 1 interception, but he's definitely been a big leader for that defense. And, I mean, Scooby Wright's been really the heart, but if you're going to choose another guy, Jared Tevitz right up there.
Well, no love for Caleb Jones or Will Parks at all?
Well, you knew this season that the receiving core was going to be good. You knew that they were, Will Parks on the defense, but you knew the receiving core was going to be good.
Who was Anu Solomon before this year?
Who's going to throw him the football? Who's going to run the football? You knew they were, maybe 11, 12 deep at receiver. So it's not a total surprise the success they've had, but yeah, those are my picks.
All right, well, Nick, it was Terrace Jones-Grigsby that got banged up, and then Nick Wilson had to miss time as well against USC. He was out for that game. Is the running back injury bug going to be biting Arizona as hard as it has been in this first half of the season?
I mean, it doesn't seem like it's stopping anytime soon. I mean, one of the things that you talk about Kadeem Carey being gone, his ability to stay healthy was probably one of the most impressive things. Two-time All-American, but he was able to stay healthy almost
especially
the whole time.
Considering how many carries he got.
Yeah, how many carries? I mean, it was just the workload. They pretty much, it was pretty much him by himself. So now you got a committee, and neither guy can really stay on the field as much as you'd like, but I mean, you just got to keep pushing them out there, try to get them, not give them too much pressure. And during the week in practice, you want to keep them light, keep it a light load, and hopefully you just cross your fingers they stay healthy.
Yeah, it's just such a huge problem for the Wildcats at this point because Jones-Grigsby and Wilson are the 2 top running backs for Arizona for a reason. And I honestly believe that Arizona would still be undefeated if those 2 were healthy. because Wilson ranks second in the conference in rushing yards and is actually tied for first with his rushing touchdowns. So, I don't know, he didn't even dress for USC, and Grigsby, you know, got hurt. He's always kind of just flopping around. He plays some games, doesn't others, and I don't know.
Well, there was a period where he missed 2 in a row. Now I think he looks a little bit better. But what about the faith in Jared Baker? And any signs from him that you think that he might be able to replace a guy like Wilson or Jones Grigsby?
Well, last year there was talk. I mean, before you knew Kadeem was going to be gone, you thought, well, who's going to be running back next year? And Jared Baker was one of the guys they were pretty high on. He was one of the faster guys on the team. Ran one of the faster 40 times, and he just really hasn't. They haven't really given him a lot of chances this season. So I mean, we'll just have to see. I don't know if they're going to burn the red shirt on Jonathan Hayden or if they're going to try to go with Baker. We'll just have to wait and see. It really depends on if these guys can stay healthy. But you mentioned it, though. With the running back by committee, they've taken a lot of pressure off that freshman quarterback. I mean, it's played a huge dividends. You sometimes think about all the weapons he has, but that running game is taking some pressure off.
Yeah, but even when they started Grigsby in the USC game, he fumbled the ball during a crucial part in the second quarter, and he turned it over. So I know that they did, like, more in the second half of the game, started playing more other, you know, like the freshmen and other people. So I think throughout the season they're going to be getting more chances, and maybe they'll surprise people that love Arizona.
Well, one last thing to wrap this football segment up. Considering the Wildcats' next 3 of 5 opponents are AP Top 25 and tough conference matchups, is this Wazoo game a must-win for the Cats?
I'm going to say it is, but at the same time, it's not. And I say this because growing up playing sports, a coach told me that one of the best athletes and to be a best team, you have to have short-term memory. And so the Wildcats just need to walk onto the field Saturday night like they still are the undefeated team. And they've also only played 1 game in the spotlight, being a top 25 team. And this is their second game, and it's also away. And no matter what, they're going to go to a stadium being ranked already and being a Pac-12, you know, contender. And it's going to be hostile, but we saw during the Oregon game that Arizona thrived in that. So hopefully they can do the same. And also, Wazoo doesn't statistically look like that big of a threat because they're only 1-3 for the Pac-12 and have a losing record also on the season. So
I mean, it's a good point to have a short memory, but if they lose this game, they aren't forgetting it for the rest of the year. I mean, a very similar situation as last year, though. Washington State came into Tucson, and you were thinking, oh, that's a win for Arizona. That keep them still in the race for that Pac-12 South. And they came and they upset them. And Washington State can put up points like Arizona can. You know, Mike Leach is up there. He's got a very similar system to Rich Rod. They like to spread the football around. And it's a very talented team. Connor Holiday, their quarterback, 6'4", 210 pounds. He's got an NFL-type body. So it's a good football team. Arizona's got to go up there and try to, you know, they got to play one of their better games, and I really believe that. One thing they do have, when they went and played Oregon, they had 2 weeks. They had an extra week off in the same type of situation. So is it going to hurt them because they got to think about the loss for a week longer, or is it going to let everybody kind of heal up? I think it'll be a positive for Arizona.
Yeah, because Arizona and Wazoo are both going into this game coming off of a bye week. But also what you said about scoring is Wazoo, although they do average 35 points a game, they also have the stat where they give up 35 points a game. So I think it can be either way on this one.
Well, it'll be just interesting to see because this is the first time that Arizona will be in Pullman since 2011. They've been coming to Arizona Stadium for the past 3 years. Well, he joined us soon after taking over the weekday mic at ESPN Tucson last year. Host Zach Clark is with us to catch up and talk some World Series with us when we come back to Channel 3 Sports on UATV.
I'm Derek Williams, your former U of A Wildcat. You're watching UATV. Don't change the channel.
The knife I lead is enough of a dog. I may have fleas, but I run a yard. I see those clones looking down on me, but unlike those clones, this dog is free. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life, dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life.
to still be with you on UATV Channel 3 Sports. I'm Joey Putrelo. Our guest for this episode is ESPN Tucson host Zach Clark. Zach, we're so glad that you could join us
Joey, it's
today.
great to be back, man. Great to be back.
Well, this is your first TV segment you've done in the past few months because we originally saw you on the Morning Blend for K-Gun 9.
Yeah, I was filling in. I spent 6 weeks over the summer filling in, which for me was a totally different experience. You know, I did something when I was in college a few years ago here, but after that I hadn't done anything, so that was quite the adjustment. Something totally out of my comfort zone, which actually was nice. And
it wasn't even a sports show.
No.
It was kind of like the Today Show. So you were kind of doing your Matt Lauer pretty much, but with a beard.
Or more. How about who does it with Kelly?
Oh, Regis Philbin.
No. Now.
I don't know.
Michael Strahan.
Yeah.
That's a better example.
All right. Okay. I like that. So you got this gig last year, taking over for Jody Ayler as the new host for ESPN Tucson. How's that been going? You're in it for a year now. The transition period is over, so how's that been?
Yeah, that's great. You know, that year transition was something. You know, I was working in a much smaller market, and coming here after being in college was great. But I'll admit that at the time I probably wasn't ready. But that doesn't mean I wasn't going to go forward and do it. And so being able to grow in it a year has been great, and having a full run. You know, I came in last year about this time, so basketball was just getting going. Football had already started. That was hard. Now you get a full run at the whole season, and you get to take a step back and really charge at it. So it's been great. I've had a lot of fun. We've been a lot busier, and during football season, especially this season, as you guys know, covering it as well. It's been a lot of fun. My favorite though is coming out here and doing Bear Down Friday. We do our show over here on the corner, and then I get to do the pep rally afterwards, which is always just so much fun.
Great, and you get to talk about the team that you followed all through college, the Arizona Wildcats. That had to make the transition a lot easier.
Absolutely. You know, this is something that I loved doing when I was here in college, doing what you guys do now, and then coming back and doing it did make it a lot easier. When I started, I first worked in the South, and I'm not from there. I didn't go to school there, so I was completely out of my element. And you have to, for lack of a better word, you got to fake it. And when I come here to Tucson and talk about the Wildcats, I don't have to fake it. I like doing this. This is where I want to be. So it's been a perfect transition. You're certainly right about that.
But you're from Detroit, so you get to still talk about Detroit sports a little bit when you talk national coverage.
Right. Yeah, we don't do a lot of national stuff because, you know, we're local. We're here in Tucson, and if you say you're going to be local talk, you might as well be. But certainly, you know, the Tigers towards the end of the season, making the playoffs, things like that. But yeah, I mean, if I can sneak it in, I always will, but I have to bite my tongue more often than not.
Well, you've got to be talking about a national case this week because the World Series has started. And so who do you like in this year's Fall Classic?
You know, I've been struggling with this for the last, has it been 5-6 days? There's something about the Royals that everybody seems to love, and I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And so I'm taking the Giants in 6, even though I'm almost positive I'm going to be wrong. So I've had a weird feeling about it the whole time.
Well, the Giants took Game 1 on the road, so that makes it even better for them.
Well, you look at, and that was one of my keys. You look at Madison Bumgarner, the way that he has played on the road all year long. He's been dominant. He's exactly the kind of guy you want out there giving your best effort. And I wondered what that layoff would do to a team like Kansas City, whose offense had been not that great throughout the regular season. They'd caught fire in the postseason, but I wondered how that layoff would do them, though San Francisco had a similar layoff. But they'd been consistent offensively all season, so I didn't think that was going to affect them too much.
All right, well, what's on tap for the ZC show for the rest of this week?
Oh, man, we'll be busy. We'll go heavy on Arizona football. Tomorrow we'll recap the World Series, go forward. And, you know, this time of year it's easy. We'll talk basketball. Matt Muehlbach's going to join us. We'll talk a little Arizona basketball. And, of course, you guys will talk about this, too. Media Days coming up on Thursday for basketball. So we'll be busy, man. We'll be busy. And, of course, World Series coverage on our station as well.
Awesome, Zach. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Joey, always a pleasure. Thanks for bringing me back.
It is always a pleasure. All right, well, Nick and Zoe are back with us for 30 seconds when we return to the program right after these messages. You are watching Channel 3 Sports on UATV.
The life I lead is enough of a dog. I may have fleas, but I run a yard. I see those clones looking down on me, but unlike those clones, this dog is free. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life, dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life.
I'm Derek Williams, your former U of A Wildcat. You're watching UATV. Don't change the channel.
I see those clones looking down on me, but unlike those clones, this dog is free. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life, dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life.
I'm Derek Williams, your former U of A Wildcat. You're watching UATV. Don't change the channel.
When I turn on the TV, I turn it to channel 3, cause they got all the greatest shows that I've been waiting to see. It's entertaining to me, cause it's pertaining to me and all the other Wildcats in the student body. We're broadcasting live to all the residence halls, so all y'all's in the halls, turn your TVs on to channel 3 for Sheezy, so you can see me and all the other happy people down at UATV 3. When I turn on the TV, I turn it to channel 3, cause they got all the greatest shows that I've been waiting to see. It's entertaining to me, cause it's pertaining to me and all the other Wildcats in the student body. We're broadcasting live to all the residence halls, so all y'all's in the halls, turn your TVs on to channel 3 for Sheezy, so you can see me and all the other happy people down at UATV 3.
We cap this edition of the show off, per usual, with a game of 30 seconds. In this game, the analysts and I each have a half minute to voice any particular topic in sports of our choosing. Zoe, why don't you lead us off?
Well, I'm so excited for this weekend because Arizona Wildcat hockey is not just back, but they're back in Tucson. And on Thursday, there is something first annual Fan Fest, and the public can watch an entire open practice, attend a conference with the team and get autographs and everything. But the thing that's super cool about it is that they're inducting a 6-year-old who has terminally ill brain cancer, and he's actually going to be part of the team now, and he's going to go to all the games, sit in the box, and it's going to be really cool.
That is a really great thing that Arizona hockey is doing, very classy on the part of new head coach Chad Berman.
I don't know if I can top that, but I'm going to talk a little bit of baseball. You know, it's just amazing what the Giants have done. You know, they won the World Series in 2010, 2012, and they're back again on an even number in 2014. They're going to go 1-0. They already won Game 1. It's just amazing. These aren't the same teams. It's no Tim Lincecum. It's no Matt Cain. And the job that Bruce Bochy has done with the San Francisco Giants, it's just amazing. The consistency. It's a team that hadn't won a World Series in almost 60 years before they won it in 2010, and now it seems like every other, well, they are there every other year. It's very impressive. I mean, got to give a lot of credit to Bruce Bochy and to Brian Sabian, the general manager.
All right, great. Thank you, Nick, and I guess I'll close this out. Well, I'm going to go with something a little homerish here. I know it's kind of lame for me to, do this, but I'm going to brag about the Buffalo Bills and their win over the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. Something that everyone should take away from that game is that Sammy Watkins will be a superstar in this league. He had 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards. This guy is a stud. He gets open at will. He can make the most ridiculous catches, and he will be a staple in the NFL superstar part of receivers. So look out for Sammy Watkins. And that'll do it for this week's episode of Channel 3 Sports. Check out our previous shows online, and make sure to tune in again next week. For Zoe Wolkowitz and Nick Nollenberger, I'm Joey Putrelo, signing off and wishing you a cordial good night. You are watching Channel 3 Sports on UATV.